So here's my major prediction for the 2018 season. I think that the Bears will finish the season with a winning record. And I don't say that for the reason you might think. Okay? It's not because of Matt Nagy coming over to be the head coach. I think people are definitely too quick to um, look at a team that's kind of sluggish on offense and point to a really good OC coming over to be the coach and say, oh, the offense is going to be really intense and fast and exciting now, when it usually doesn't work like that. Um, it's kind of an interesting cycle because, because people are always firing their coaches. Typically, the really good defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators and assistant coaches are eventually going to get a shot to be head coaches. But because there's a kind of unspoken rule that uh, if you don't get really good in a couple seasons and stay good, you got to fire the guy. Um, you're kind of back to doing the same thing a couple of years later and looking at the same types of prospects. Back to looking at, okay, who are the good OCs and DCs and college coaches. So, long story short, I really look at how a team's drafting, uh, how they're doing in terms of getting players not just in the early rounds but in the late rounds that are improving their team. And if there's a coach that I think could be a liability, I take that into account. Or if there's one who's really is one of those few that makes a difference, I take that into account as a positive. But I really do just tend to look at the roster. Are they drafting well? That's the key thing, because if you're not drafting well, things aren't going to get good. And are you making smart moves in free agency? You're not overspending, you're not doing anything ridiculous. You're doing a reasonably good job keeping good players already on your roster. And wait while the first wave comes by and everybody overspends, and get smart bargains. Get that guy like Muhammad Sanu, who's gonna make your team a lot better without breaking bank, you know. And really, ever since their new GM took over the Bears, hasn't gotten a lot of attention because their record hasn't gotten good yet, but they've quietly been drafting very, very well. Jordan Howard was he a fourth rounder? I mean, that's the definition of a steal, I think. And you look at just what they did this year. Tariq Cohen really late in the draft. Eddie Jackson really late. Um, Adam Shaheen was a second rounder, but he's looking really, really good. So yeah, they've been Leonard Floyd. He was a high round pick a couple seasons ago. He's some injury issues, but when he's been on the field, he has been so excellent. It's a huge difference maker when he's in there. And yeah, you look what they did this year. They got Anthony Miller, another good receiver. They're going to need that because the receiving core really hasn't been good in a while. But no, I'm excited about Anthony Miller. If you listen to the podcasts, I listen to Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah's podcast, Move the Sticks. They were super high on him. They were looking at him as a guy who's going to really overachieve relative to where he gets drafted. So I think he'll be really good, and I think Allen Robinson is going to turn out to be an excellent signing. He's the kind of guy you want to add. It's going to be a great payoff for them. So yeah, those are the thoughts on the Bears. I'm pretty excited because they haven't been good for a while. I think ever since that Super Bowl, they've kind of lost their direction. Um, Even during those couple of years, they didn't really have an answer at quarterback, and then they thought Jay Cutler was the answer, and then they couldn't decide what they were going to do in terms of offensive coordinator, offensive personnel. They just lost their way for a lot of years. That's why it was a good thing when they finally got rid of um, Jay Cutler. And if he wasn't the whole problem, he really just so emblematic of everything wrong with where they were as a team. It was, oh man. Even people that didn't love Mike Glennon that much were very happy when they got rid of Cutler because it was that anybody but Cutler kind of feeling. That's I think where a lot of fans were at the moment. Yeah, I'm excited. Bears should be in for a heck of a season.